been doing the commentaries, you know, backstage with VOCAB Malone, behind the scenes, whatever. But the video's been coming out late. We did a Google Hangout where we talked about the finger licking. That's very important. But there's been 3 days of stuff since then. There's been day 5, 6, and 7. And I put out some other videos, but I got to talk about all these at once. So I'm going to start with the most recent one, and then I'm going to go backwards. I actually got a lot to say, and I'll explain why I'm standing where I'm standing before it's over. Okay, so the gang's been poisoned, day 7 of Islamicize Me, right? We shot this at the very end, and we were completely out of it. John and I had not slept. Now David had not slept either, but John and I could no longer handle it. I'm not exaggerating. We were just sleeping, walking around, running into stuff, and then falling down and sleeping. I mean, it's a true story. John McCrae talked about it in the comments. Oh, you know what? Let me bring this microphone closer. David just said, come sleep at the table. Just lay down at the table over here, and I'll do the scene. And that's literally what we did. So I laid and just sat, and John came over. In the scene, David carries him. I don't actually know what really happened, because I was actually asleep. I wasn't, you see, I put my head up one time, but I don't really know what's going on. We weren't faking sitting there. We were actually sleeping the whole time David was doing the scene. I remember like 1 or 2 things indistinctly. You know how when you're like in and out of consciousness? I remember this like loud, but kind of indistinct sound of chewing. And it seemed like it lasted forever. And it was David chewing the dates. It just seemed like it went on for 30 minutes when I was there. It was like this in and out of dream state. I'm not, this is true behind the scenes. I am not joking. John McCrae can attest to this. Well, he wouldn't know either because he was out of it. And you know, that's the sounds that you kind of remember. Like, I kind of remember the sound when David was pouring the, toilet bowl cleaner in his mouth. Some of you wonder what that was. It was blue Gatorade, but man, I was still worried for David because we cleaned that thing out because obviously it was full before, but I don't know if we really cleaned it out good enough. And I was like worried, but that blue stuff did look like it. So we're there, and I remember David like banging on the table maybe once and saying, let me prove it, or I got to demonstrate it. But everything else was just a blur. I don't remember anything. It was like I was sleeping. So it was John. So if you watch this, you can tell, I think, that we're actually out of it. If you watch the scene, even though it's the back of us, we're out of it. It's bugged out. And then we make our first trip to the doctor or the hospital. There will be more of those coming up. So you've seen one, but there's going to be more of those coming up. Now, we didn't do it right after, so we had to then, we were a little bit more awake at that point. We had to sort of act like we were asleep. Shout out to Jeff Cran, who put in work as the Jewish doctor. He's got some good lines coming up later. He did a great job. And so, you know, David is sick, and we're there, and there's this funny line that is in there about, you know, you're almost as dumb as those kids who eat the Tide Pod packs. And I was like, well, haven't you seen them? Let me grab one. I think I got one on me. One of those things. Where'd it go? You guys heard about kids eating these things? These type of things. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Just kidding. I want to try it. Just kidding. If I would have dates though first, it'd be okay. Which I should have thrown them away by now, but I actually still have the dates. Should I save these as a souvenir? The case is all cracked. You know, David didn't need them all. These are the actual dates that we used. You know. Ooh, they're pretty hard by now. Ooh, it has soap in it too. Excuse me. Gross. My dog won't even eat these. Let me see. Hey, buddy, you want one? Yeah, last time I tried to feed him one of the Ajwa dates, he would not eat it. Yep, it's just sitting there. He won't eat it. He picks it up and plays with it, but he won't really eat it. I want to watch him. Anyways, so that is the truth of that scene. And we're all going to be taking turns at the doctors or whatever, you know. And so the real behind the scenes magic of that is we were actually out, like straight up. So I think it's funny, you know. Now let me look. That's day 7, called Poison Control. The gang gets poisoned. Then there's day 6. And, you know, David gives a great teaser where he talks about we're going to find ways to not get poisoned, because what happens in day 6, all water is safe to drink, the prophet's drinking game. Everyone's wondering about that. Let me see if I have the actual cup here. Hold on, just give me a second. There's the straw. Because I think I have the actual cup somewhere in here that we used. Just give me a second. I'm gonna look. I don't know. I'm just trying to show you the props, I guess, or something like that. I don't see it right now. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. This is actually one of the cups that we used for the prophet's drinking game. That is one of the first things we shot. Now let me tell you a story about that. Ooh, I don't have any bloopers today, but I do got some stories. Let me show you. If you want to get the real insight on this, go subscribe to my Instagram page. It's under just VOCAB Malone. As you can tell, it's kind of out of focus. As you can kind of tell, you see the faces and stuff. I've got behind the scenes stuff. As we were recording it, I was posting to my Instagram. Some of you knew that, some of you didn't. But it's VOCAB Malone is my Instagram. See, that's how it kind of looks. You can kind of see it. I post stuff with my family and events and geeky stuff and apologetic stuff. So it's that stuff. But there's a lot of behind the scenes footage and stuff on there. So subscribe to me on Instagram. It's just VOCAB MALONE. So what do I show? It's funny, I show the first day we arrive on there and everything. So anyways, I show this speaking event that David had. So when David first got into town in Phoenix, he had a speaking at a women's Bible study, right? So he's at this women's Bible study, and man, he's killing it. He's knocking it out of the park. You know, me and John are there hanging out, you know, just chilling. I'm trying to see if there's a future wife for me or anything like that. They were mainly blue hairs, so not so much. But nonetheless, you know, we're there. And afterwards, we were like, you know, we need to get some footage, some filming done. We should try to do the hard scenes first before the cameramen get here. Because the cameramen hadn't come yet, but we were trying to figure if the three of us could knock out some stuff, right? But we didn't really know how to do it. We knew we needed like an abandoned desert with water kind of vibe. But I'm a city guy. I live kind of uptown, downtown area. I don't really know where that stuff is. But we were far out there. So I asked one of the guys, and he's like a cool kind of cowboy guy with a truck. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing afterward? We're like, we don't know. We're trying to film, da-da-da. He's like, tell you what. I'll take you out to eat, get you some lunch, and then I'll show you where you need to go. Like, I was like, what? This is like a dream come true. The dude was hooking us up. So he took us out to lunch. It was amazing. He donated some money for the filming, like on the spot, because he saw what we were doing. It was like amazing. And then drove us kind of far out. Like, this is like an hour or something from my house, you know, way on the outskirts, like the desert area. By something called Lake Pleasant, and took us to literally the perfect spot. It's like he knew it, and it was just like, we never could have done that on our own. It couldn't have been a GPS thing. It would have had to been this guy stepping to us, asking us, and it straight up worked out. I've only told like one person the story, so the person I told the story, don't feel bad because you still got to hear the story way before everyone else. In fact, I'm going to tell you the special effect of how we drank the water. So, anyways, we go out there, and we didn't plan on shooting, really, because we didn't know what we were doing yet, but we happened to have everything we needed. Let me explain. I drank an iced coffee that I made with my espresso machine earlier in the day, right? Where'd that cup go? I think I dropped it. Okay. Oh, yeah. And guess what? I had just a little bit of iced coffee left. Then John still had his cup from Rubio's, where we had eaten lunch, right? Mexican seafood place. And I happened to have a couple bottles of water with me as well. So, everything is perfect. Of course, we brought our outfits. We walked down there. First, we film us drinking. And you notice that stuff is really going down as I'm drinking with the straw. The straw fell. Where'd it go? And we keep dropping everything. It's late, guys. Excuse me. It's because I'm really drinking. And it looks just like dirty, muddy water, right? But guess what? It was the rest of my iced coffee water. Perfect. Look, it was amazing. John just happened to have his Rubio's cup. He used that. I poured the bottles of water in there. Freaking, it was just perfect. It was amazing. I mean, and we had our shades on, you know, because outside it's hot already in Arizona in April. We were filming it. So it literally could not have went any better. And I brought fake blood and I brought the animals, which I'm now going to show you. Actually, I'm going to show you the animals at the end of the episode. I'm going to show you the actual animals we use because people were asking about them. So that's some insight for you. And it's funny because we're way out, but the places we're driving around right before we do the scene where we drink is actually right beside my house. So it's kind of funny, you know, but then we act like we're in the desert. You know, it worked though. Oh, and there's a joke I make. It was improv and they let me do it, where John says he's thirsty and I say, why don't you get some muta? Thirsty is a slang word for being extremely in the mood, I guess you could say. I'm trying to do this right. And so I make a joke that becomes important later on in the series. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so again, subscribe to my Instagram. I'm trying to think of the next thing I need to say. I think I'm gonna stop with commentary on day 6, the Prophet's drinking game, and then go to day 5, dunk your flies. Now, obviously, I wasn't involved with that scene until the vlog part, but I know what was going on with it. And what did we use? These guys. See, let me show you one. I mean, am I ruining all this? Look, when they teach you how to make when they show you how they make the lightsabers, it's like you still want to watch Star Wars, right? You know, I don't have a cameraman, so I'm just doing this. But let me show you these guys. See the flies? The flies. See the flies? You can kind of see them. Okay. So that's them. Oh, by the way, I got other stuff. There's the bowl that David ate the ajwa dates out of. This is why I did this in the kitchen, because I knew I just need everything there. Of course, it's an awesome Buzz Lightyear there. Should we save this stuff? Do people want these props? Should I keep this? Set this aside? Let me know, guys. I don't know. We might do some, like, Patreon supporters or something like that. I don't know. There's something else I forgot that we used. Oh, the cereal we had. We went and took a giant trip at Walmart before we got to filming. And bought a bunch of snacks and energy drinks so we could eat. But then we actually used the cereal, you know, when we were filming that. And I guess John doesn't like cereal. I don't remember if we used the Honey Nut or the Apple. I think we used the Honey Nut Cheerios. For the fly scene I'm talking about now, right? So, you know, the fly lands on John's head. David smacks it with a rolled up Quran. Obviously highly offensive. But David's philosophy is basically offend everyone as much as possible while making your point. And, you know, the fly falls in there. John dunks the fly, eats it, and then he doesn't really like the cereal, so he kind of is throwing up the cereal in that scene at the end. And then we hadn't filmed the vlog yet, and so I'd already shaved when we actually needed to film the vlog later on at the end of that episode. So what happens, I had to put on a medical mask to kind of hide the fact that I don't have much of a beard. And I just say, hey, everyone's getting sick, and we're trying to figure it out, me and David, you know? And what we, of course, come up with is maybe the Jews ripped off the wing of the fly that had the blessing and left, or I'm sorry, the cure, and left the one with the disease. I'm getting confused with the finger looking good. And that was one thing. Then we came up with the idea, no, maybe John caught lactose intolerance, which I say is, I've heard about that. It's communicability. I say something that's like trying to mispronounce communicable. Anyways, I think it's funny. Catching lactose intolerance, and then we say we need to keep him away from milk. Stop right there. This is why you watch these backstage with VOCAB Malone. This is why you watch these behind the scenes commentaries. I'm not kidding you. Right now is one more reason why. I've already revealed so many secrets. I mean, I'm a blabbermouth. No, I'm just kidding. This is part of the plan. John McRae, being lactose intolerant, will connect later on to a later episode. It will actually have something to do with a later episode. It literally came together like hand and glove, like puzzle pieces. So perfect. So you're going to see later on there's something that John can't do. I'll just say that, spoiler free, that we can do because he's lactose intolerant. And that ties in so beautifully, just like the Muta reference. This thing is filled with foreshadowing. George Lucas thought he could do foreshadowing. We are masters of foreshadowing. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm getting carried away. I think that's it, except I'm going to show you those animals right now. If there's something else I forgot about days 7, 6, 5, let me know. But now what I'm going to do, this is actually the box that most of the animals came in. Not all of them. They came at different times. The small one came first. When I told David, he's like, oh, it's going to get worse. So first, you know, just a little pelt. A lot of people noticed it was just a pelt, you know. Here's the pelt, right? It's just a possum pelt. My dog doesn't like this. The dog is coming over because I'm pulling these out. I'm going to show you later on how he freaks out with the raccoon. And now this came. Now this was intense. Whoever did this, the taxidermist guy, who, oh, I keep on messing up, sorry. Did this? He did a good job. Look at the detail. This has been in dirty water, obviously. I haven't cleaned it since then, so these were outside. But look at the hands on this thing. Look at the detail on this thing. That is impressive, right? Justice, chill. I mean, we were all impressed by this squirrel. This thing's claws are still sharp. It looked good in that dirty water. And by the way, the rest of that litter was actually already there. It's kind of a shame in that scene where we drank the dead water. It was already there. Justice, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to make the dog bark later on. Don't worry, you'll see. All right, I'm going to get him in a scene. He's already tripping out. Now, we put the fake blood all over the raccoon, okay? We put the fake blood on him. It didn't actually already have it. Some people were like, thought it was roadkill, freshly killed. Look at that. The dog doesn't like, the dog cannot handle the raccoon. Guys, you want to go? Come here, Justice. Should I say, Mr. See what he does here. He does not like it. It's kind of funny. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Hey, you can't actually bite him. You can actually bite his face. It's so funny, right? Hello, little Rocky Raccoon. He's coming to get you. 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 Let's see what he does when he's down there. He's actually chewing on his ear. Wait, what are you doing? You're so rude. What are you doing to him? He's not real. Can't you tell? Although he does look pretty real, doesn't he? All right, let's see here. He's trying to get him again. What is this? Come on, how is that not funny? Come on, oops. Camera, going haywire. Alright, anyways, well, that's why you watch those things. I'm signing out. Be sure to check out the next backstage of VOCAB Malone. Crazier stuff happening. This thing is going to add new characters. We've got crazy plots coming out. We're going to be going on location. It's going to get crazier and crazier. Do not go anywhere. Islamicize me. Stick around. Peace.